So,
no, she's doing everything.
so today, guys, in lesson 4, we're going to be covering writing repair orders. And we're going to be talking about some of the advanced writing repair order features on Friday in lesson 5. But I want to go over the basics with you just so you understand the workflow. And considering you guys are MotorTraxx users now, the two major differences between MotorTraxx and MaxxTraxx is, number one, no daily book, which is fantastic for accounting people. Number two, we have this new structure that's called the CCC structure. It's the complaint cause correction format that the dealers have been using for years. So in MotorTraxx, we just started a repair order and had parts and labor. In MaxxTraxx, we now have this new format that is going to say, you know, why is the customer here? So it gives you an opportunity to actually capture comments from the customer. So you might notice here this top line is what we call our reason for service. Can you guys see that okay?
Yep.
Okay. And the blue line is our labor. So this is you talking. This is a technician talking about what work was done. And then underneath that, we have the parts that were used in this labor operation. Now this structure is here for a ton of different reasons. Well, first of all, it's a SQL-based database, so it looks like a file structure, right? If you were to go into Explore, into Windows, the Explore button, you can see similar structure. But a bunch of are done this way by grouping particular parts and labor under a reason for service. You can create a kit that will include the reason for service, the labor, and the part. We can delete this. I'm hitting the delete button in the lower right. I can delete this reason for service, and check this out. It'll ask me, well, I've already done it before, but it'll ask me if you want to recommend this service. So now that cooling system service is over in my recommended. So I can always highlight it and bring it right back. Click add to request in the lower right and say, yes, bring this back. And it's back in my repair order. So that is another reason why we have this structure. Just by deleting this one line, it takes everything back into recommended. We also bring quotes over in a similar way. The other thing is we have reports that are driven off the reasons for service, profitability reports. So that's why we have this structure. But most importantly, and I say this as usually the person that was the last one at the shop when people were picking up their cars, when we click on Preview Repair Order, and we have this RO that we're going to review with our customer, we have captured, you know, why they are here and what we did. You know, the transmission needs a maintenance. You know, what exactly did they come in for? Customer request, they needed a starter. And then we did this work. So there's a lot of different reasons why we have this structure. That's probably going to be the most foreign, you know, thing about MaxxTraxx coming from MotorTraxx. Now notice here, guys, when I have a reason for service line highlighted, my add labor button here, I can add a labor. But notice my parts and sublets are grayed out. Okay? So, but look, if I highlight a labor line, I can't, of course, add any more labors underneath this labor line, but I can add parts and sublet. So you can see the functionality changes depending on which line you have highlighted. Is that part of where you probably got hung up, Randy? Structure?
I couldn't even figure out how to make an appointment, so.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start from the beginning and just kind of run through some real basic stuff. And I'll go slow. Pardon me?
What was that, add RFS or VP?
That is the reason for service. So let's go back and to look at that. So with this highlighted, okay, we have this button that says reason for service or vehicle problem.
Okay.
So let's run through the write a repair order wizard, and that'll shed a little light into this. So whenever a customer comes in, well, first of all, if we use the Make New Appointment button, it just adds an additional screen that lets us schedule future work. And it adds it to this workflow, Write New Repair Order workflow. So let's just skip this for the moment and click on Write New Repair Order. So when we click on this, we can either search a customer, and if the customer wasn't there, we would hit the Add Customer button here. Let's just choose myself. Same thing, I can select a vehicle, or I could click the Add Vehicle button and add a brand new one in here. So let's just select the one that I already have in my system. And I'm just double clicking on it. Guys, you can actually select and double click here or hit the next button, but I just double click. So here you can see, because I've done a bunch of work in my demo system under my own name, that I have all these recommended. So I could say, you know, the customer may be here for, oh gosh, I don't know, they're a no start or a fuel pump's gone out, something like that. I can say, hey, while we're here, do you want us to go ahead and get that alignment done for you? And they say, yeah, go ahead and add the alignment. But the reason why this customer is here is one of two reasons. Either they have a problem or they have a request. So you'll notice this structure says, well, let's say the problem was, I don't know, no start. If I click Add Vehicle Problem, I get this list. Now this list comes pre-populated, Randy. Your labors from MaxxTraxx, by the way, will convert over all of your labor services you have in your database. But you don't have reasons for services because you don't have that in your structure in MaxxTraxx, right? So they put a bunch of things in here. Look, there's a ton of them. And, you know, personally, I would probably end up deleting a fair amount of these, I'll be honest. Okay, so let's say it's a no start. Now, either I could, you know, maybe narrow this down by clicking on engine category over here on the left, like a drivability, so it's a drivability, it won't start. Okay, so I would just select this. Now, these are starting points. You know, customer states the vehicle won't start. This is where, with the customer standing in front of you, you're going to capture all sorts of details. And if you're making an appointment over the phone, you may also be capturing details in the same screen through the Make New Appointment wizard as well. So you might say, vehicle won't start, cranks, but cranks and starts up, then dies. I don't know, maybe started dying at stoplight 2 weeks ago. And you may ask, is the check engine light on? They say, yeah, check engine light came on, you know, yesterday. I don't know, yesterday. So, you know, what you're doing is you're capturing customer information. And why is this so valuable? You know, if we tell this to our technician, it's going to save him time. It's going to put him in the right direction to figure out what to look for, that kind of thing. So this, every single time you're adding some stuff in, but we usually give you a starting place, a starting point with our list of requests for service or vehicle problems, okay? So this thing here, which I know a lot of our MaxxTraxx users are big-time freeform labor users.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Slap in the back of your hand with the ruler, I'll tell you now. I'm just a real strong believer that, guys, you are writing the same freeform labor over and over and over and over again. So instead of doing that, add 2 clicks in, and then you're going to be building on this database. And I'm going to show you why you wouldn't just click freeform. You know, customers here, I'm going to hit freeform note. There's a reason for that. Let's just put in here a note, maybe wash car. That would be the only time you'd really want to use a freeform note. And we'll look at that in a minute, okay? So now I click finish. At this point, my customer could leave, they could give me the keys, I could be done with this. I don't have to do anything else. My RO is started. It's on my service counter. So, you know, move on to the next guy, or you can just continue on, okay? We're going to go ahead and continue on. We have this update repair order information screen because this is some obviously essential information. We want to know what the mileage is, who's going to be working on it, and very important marketing tool. I love this. Where does customer come from? What's the customer source? So if I don't know these right away, I don't have to fill them out. Now, I probably know my customer source. And the majority of the time, it's going to be an existing customer. But look, I could say internet with a built-in discount, 5% discount. I could have yellow pages which is cool because if you guys run a customer source report for the year and you realize you got 7 customers from the Yellow Pages, you might want to cancel that Yellow Page ad or, not pay $1,000 a month on it like we used to. So I'm going to go ahead and just say existing. And again, I'm not going to know my mileage till I pull that vehicle around, or I may not even know yet who I'm going to assign the work to. So I'm just going to click OK. So this is what we have so far, the reasons why the customer's here. Okay, we went ahead and just said, do the alignment while it's in there. Here's my drivability issue, and here's my free-form note. Okay, so under here, we start building our repair order by entering in labor in our parts. So for the alignment, I click Add Labor, and notice, reason for service line highlighted, parts and sublet are grayed out, right? I have to go to a labor or kits. And we talk about kits extensively in Lesson 10. Kits and the job clock are my 2 favorite features other than the integrated accounting. So we cover those extensively, and I use them a ton. So we're going to say labor from service list. Now again, your MaxxTraxx labors convert. So your list will be under here. I also want to point out really quick, okay, here's freeform. Don't use it. Don't use it. Like I said, use 2 additional clicks, and you're just adding to your list, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we also have a couple options here. These are all my online parts ordering vendors. Well, actually, here's my AllData. So we do interface to the AllData Service Advisor CDs. So we have that ability to import labor from AllData. But all these other are my online parts ordering people. And for me personally, Factory Motor Parts here in Colorado, which they're in tons of states, but Factory Motor Parts was our AC Delco Motorcraft supplier. They made the Mitchell labor times available to us through their website. So I could actually get Mitchell labor times by going to Factory's online website. Or we are adding this coming year, 2012, a motor flat rate guide. It's not in there yet, but we're going to be adding that. And you also can add labor from history if you've done that job before, or from quotes that you have already for this one particular vehicle. 80% of the time, maybe more than that, you just grab your labor service from list. So here is my list. I'm going to type A to get to my alignment. I'm going to say front wheel alignment, and I click select. So in here, I have, and most of the time all you have to do is click OK. But I'm going to do a quick review of this. And please stop me, guys, if you have any questions. This is labor code. This is what shows up on the screen. But this is what prints. This long stuff is what prints on the RO. This also is where your technician can add additional notes, for any diagnostic work, for example. Now, you'll notice I did not select in an employee code when I first started the RO, because maybe I didn't know who was going to do the job. Well, I know Josh is my undercard guy. He's my alignment guy. I can manually select him here. But what's kind of cool is if you guys put the technician in the very beginning, in that little box, that little update repair order information box, it will auto-populate this employee code for you. Okay? So here is our shop rate times our flat rate down here. And I'm not going to go too much into this, but here we can make this a warranty discount it out 100% for warranty. We could put, a 10% discount here. If we have, a shop rate, a discount, and then adjusted, this discount actually shows on the RO. So we'll look at that in a minute. I'll click OK. Okay, so there's my first job. I'm going to do an alignment, and here's the labor for it. And I even have my tech assigned. So under the drivability, I am going to add labors. And again, I could pick one of these, but this definitely would be a labor service from list. So I'm going to hit D for diagnostic time. Now look, this is a pretty generic diagnostic, but I could have one for performing a compression test. I could have one for what I called an AVR, and that stood for amperage, voltage, resistance, where we check. It says, perform inspection of battery, starter, alternator, check wiring for proper connections, la, 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 la. So you guys can see the stuff that you put on your ROs over and over and over and over again using freeform labor, we want to build into this stuff. But what's the beauty of these here is that when I select this, see, this is what's written out on this whole labor service. So I obviously don't have to retype it. Scope engine with analyzer, la, la, la. And then the technician will say, you know, I don't know, found engine, I don't know, not getting fuel. You guys obviously know I'm not a technician. Inspected fuel pump. Recommend replacing fuel pump and fuel filter, okay, or whatever. And then I can adjust my, let's say that took an hour, or maybe only, I don't know, 5/10 of an hour to do that inspection. And again, I'd have to put my employee here if I hadn't already selected him. And if you're going to have multiple technicians working on a job, you may not always want to assign a primary employee or a primary technician, but you always can go in here and edit who actually did the work. Okay? Side note, while we're looking at this screen, guys, I always link, down here in the lower right, I link my flat and build rates together, so the amount that I bill out to my customer, I also assign those flat rate hours to my employee. Okay? And that's great if you pay commission. It's also very important, even if you don't pay commission, for your productivity report. Again, job clock, one of my favorite features. So I'm going to click OK. So are you guys following the structure? Hey, Brian, it looks like I got you up on the microphone, and it looks like we lost Randy here for a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a chance to dial back in. We'll just wait just a second. Actually, they're going to jump back in. I'm going to continue on. So, and Brian, if you want to ask any questions, you can always click the orange arrow in the upper right-hand corner and click the radio button that says use telephone and dial into the conference call if you want to actually ask them questions. Okay, guys, so under this drivability issues, if we decided that we needed to replace the fuel pump on this vehicle, we could actually create another reason for service that says replace the fuel pump. But my particular style, since this was all associated with the same drivability issue that the customer came in for, I would just continue and add labors and select labor service from list of the fuel pump. Okay? That's what I would do. So let's see if I have fuel pump in here. Now I don't. So let's go ahead and add a labor service, okay? Because we don't have fuel pump as a labor service in our system. So this is the wizard. I would say 99% of the time I recommend using flat rate labors. Hi guys, I'm glad you're back.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
I sure can.
So,
okay guys, so I just started the add a labor wizard because this is, we're talking a little bit about, you know, you're always free-forming stuff. So I need to add a fuel pump to this job. I don't have that labor on my list. So let's go through the wizard. We hit flat rate labor and next. And menu labors we'll touch on briefly on Friday. I'm not a huge fan unless you guys are like a quick lube, Jiffy Lube, or you know what I mean. And we'll talk about that on Friday. So my labor code for me for a fuel pump replace would be FPR. And it's just what I did in MaxxTraxx, you know, for 15 years. So, and the reason why I search or I do a labor code to do that is I don't want to put, you know, R&R fuel pump because my search would always just be a kajillion R's. So I always put the part of the vehicle that I'm working on as the beginning of my labor code, like front brakes replace would be actually BFR, brakes front replace. So BFR. That way you know what component you're working on. If there's more than one, you can say is it front or rear, left or right, and then replace at the end. And then under my short description, I just put fuel replace. Now, what prints on the customer's description, though, I might put here, remove and replace fuel pump, replace fuel filter as needed, maybe inspect fuel line, verify, proper operation, and fuel pressure, whatever. And again, see, this is the stuff that you guys are doing over and over and over again. And we always talk about added value to your customer is to put in the details of everything that you actually do. So many shops undersell themselves because they don't put down everything that they're doing. They think that, well, that's a given. Well, it's not a given to your customer. So if you're going to give them a $5,000 bill, you probably want to have a lot of writing. My personal feeling. Okay, I'm going to hit next. Yes, exactly. Now, for a fuel pump, I don't know. They change depending on the vehicle. You may put a starting amount in there. I don't know. A typical fuel pump is 2 hours. If it's different every single time, you can even leave this as 0. But you might want to put something there just to get you in the ballpark. Now, the reason why I put the same as the build rate and the flat rate is this gets billed to the customer. This is what gives my guys the credit. Again, if they're flat rate commission guys or for their productivity report. And product codes here, guys, this just gives you an opportunity to segment out your labor sales on your financials or just for your reporting. And you do that by creating its own product code. You can see I've got like collision labor, diagnostic labor, general labor. Honestly, most shops just leave it all at general labor, but you have that feature. And then I just click use shop rate. Now, if I want to get to a specific dollar amount for a particular labor, I can always change around these shop rates, but I'm just going to say use shop rate. Okay, so now I just added this to my list. Now I'm going to select it for this RO. Now, as you guys can see, I still can add in more comments for this particular job. I don't know what you might want to say about a fuel pump issue. I don't know, something else. I would definitely want to select my technician who did the job. And again, I could put in some discounts. I could make it a warranty bill. I also can change the amount that I bill to the customer, different than the flat rate, but that's own personal preference. Okay, notice something here in the lower left, guys. See this profitability monitor? I have this set up to say this is how much my cost is per labor hour. This is my labor rate and my profitability. And it's green because I'm hitting my target. We're going to talk a little bit more about that on Friday. Okay, so we've got a reason for service, our labor to diagnose the problem, our labor to actually replace the fuel pump. Now, with the labor highlighted, you see my add part is highlighted. So now I'm going to add part. And this is the other really big part of writing service in MaxxTraxx. And what we didn't have in MotorTraxx, probably the #1 reason why people upgrade, is we can select a part from our part list, but you guys know we hardly stock anything anymore. We don't have to. It's so different than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. I could look up my OEM part number from my all-day labor guide if I'm just doing an estimate, but the reality is I probably want to do online ordering from one of my vendors. I mean, this is real. I would say 80% of all of my parts were ordered online. WorldPack was my #1 vendor. Factory Motor Parts was my #2 vendor, or like my AC Delco, Motorcraft, that kind of stuff. And then I did a fair amount with CarQuest, and I did a fair amount with Napa. So, kind of think about who your first, second, third, and fourth calls are for your shop, and then we can see about who has online ordering and who doesn't in your region, okay? So let's go back to that. I'm going to go ahead and order from WorldPack. Okay, so it takes just a second. It's logging out. So what it's doing, guys, is it's taking my year, make, model, engine, all that kind of stuff. It generates what we call an AAIA number. That's the Automotive Aftermarket Industry Association number. And see, it looks and already knows what year, make, model I have. So all I'm going to put in here is fuel pump. I'm going to type fuel pump and click search. Click in here and say price. And it looks like they do. They have a Delphi. So I just click order export. And now it's in my order bin on WorldPack. And I hit in the lower right corner. I don't know if you guys can see in the very bottom right, it says MaxxTraxx with the little green dot, which means I'm connected. So what I just did by clicking Add Selected Parts to RO, in real time, okay, I just put a brand new part record in my system. So I didn't have to add the part add the part number, part description, cost, price, all that. That's done. Also, in this part record that was automatically created, I actually have a matrix already set up. It says jobber pricing. So it actually priced out my part for me. See that 401? Okay.
Yep.
And I also have this little button or this little checkbox check that says add to inventory list. Now, for full accounting users, I always add every single part that you ever buy, ever, to your list. A couple of reasons. First of all, you have purchase history. You know who you bought it from, when you bought it, how much you paid, and what invoice you bought it on, if you have a warranty issue, number one. Number two, it is going to prompt you, again, full accounting users, that you have to actually have that part in stock in order to sell it. Okay? So what's my golden rule for using MaxxTraxx and keeping your financials straight? Duplicate in MaxxTraxx what happens in real life. You guys will hear me say that over and over and over again. So I can't actually sell this fuel pump if I don't have it in my hot little hand. So I get this red circle and flash through it. And what it's saying is, hey, Sabrina, you don't have this part. So check this out. I love this feature, guys. When I just click OK Save to exit, this is part of my workflow. Or if I were to click on options and say show parts on this RO that need to be ordered, either way. Oops, let me see. There it is. It says the following parts on your repair order are not in stock and they need to be ordered. So tag the parts you want to order and press next. So I click in the order column. See, it already says vendors, WP, WorldPack. And I can click single vendor quick order because I know it's WorldPack. And it's going out to, okay, so now it expired 1 minute ago. Check that out. Isn't that funny? It's 11:31 my time, and the truck just left for the 11:30 truck. So notice it's now going to go out at the 1:30 truck. Isn't that funny? So coincidentally, I could hit checkout right here, but this is actually somebody's account, so I don't want to do that, okay? So I'm not going to do that. In fact, I'm going to just jump back over to MaxxTraxx. Once I hit that checkout button, this confirmation window will go away. And it'll give me another window that says, your order has been sent. But like I said, I'm using somebody's account, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete this, guys, so I don't actually send it. Okay, so I'm just going to close out WorldPack. I'm going to go back into MaxxTraxx, and it would say sent, but I'm just pretending. So it says canceling this window will leave the purchase order open without order confirmation. Are you sure you want to? Yeah, I know. Okay, so what just happened? I just wrote up my RO, figured out what my labor time was, put on my parts, and upon exiting my RO, I created what we call a parts order form. And in this parts order form, let's look at it again, I hit the send order button. Now, if I had actually sent through that order, Randy and Jody, this would be grayed out. It would say it's already been sent, and it would say up here in the upper right where it says open, you see where it says open? It would say submitted. But again, you know, I just didn't want to do the real deal. So what happens next? You know, an hour later, 2 hours later, whenever our truck shows up, we go back to order parts. We highlight that parts order form, and we hit this big green button up here that says convert selected parts order form into a received vendor invoice. Now, what this really is, guys, when I click this button and I enter in an amount, this is double checking my math, and Jody will be forever grateful if you guys always check your math. Make sure this matches what is actually on that piece of paper. That way you're not posting to accounts payable the wrong stuff. So what did I just do, guys? I just created a restocked invoice, which you guys, I'm sure now, because you're full accounting users, all day long, what do in MaxxTraxx? You hit
That's too easy.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't know about this feature for 3 months. I started using MaxxTraxx. I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought it was hot stuff. Well, Monday morning, January 2nd, 2008, I started using MaxxTraxx, and I was so overwhelmed. I accidentally turned that feature off, and when you click that little button that says, don't show me this form again, it will never show you that form again. So I didn't even know about this feature till March. So I actually went back to the old-fashioned way. The restock parts icon here on the toolbar, okay, right to the left of the money bag, restock parts. I was just doing it the old-fashioned way, like I did in MaxxTraxx. And then I figured out this feature, and I reduced my data entry by 60% because I'm just that way, and I did a quick little study over a month, and that's how much it saved me time. So first of all,
how did you get to that screen?
We'll run through it again slowly, and we cover this extensively on Monday, okay? That's because that's our parts management webinar. Okay, so real quick, though, before we move on, this fuel pump is assigned to this RO automatically. See that? So it ties all of your purchases automatically in the background to the job they're supposed to go on. So you guys aren't billing stuff, billing out customers and forgetting to put their parts on there. So I'm just going to, save, post, and update inventory. So when I hit this, what am I doing? I am posting $240.68 to my WorldPack account. I am posting $240.68 worth of inventory valuation to my general ledger. Okay, that's a little bit of accounting speak, but the Jodys of the world will appreciate that. That goes to my balance sheet. But I'm also, this is what you care about, Randy, I'm updating my inventory from a quantity of a -1 up to a 0. Okay, so that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to put in my fake invoice number. I mean, that right there, guys, is 85% of your data entry in a MaxxTraxx. So now when we go back into the RO, check this out. Actually, let me put in a mileage. I'll just make this one up. Check out my red circle and slash is gone. See that? It means that I stocked that part. So if I were to double click on this again, well, guys, real quick, check it out. It says stock on hand 0. So before I restocked that WorldPack invoice, it said -1. Hence the red circle and slash through it, right? So now it says I have stock on hand. There's another thing I want to show you guys real quick on the screen. Check out the profit monitor. This tells me that my part price matrix was set to mark that part up 40%. Done automatically for me. See, use matrix, jobber pricing. See that? Now, if I'm like, I can't get away. I got to get this bill. See in the lower right corner, I got to get this bill under $700, or these people are just going to freak out. So I would unclick my use matrix, for example. Let's say we're going to sell it for, I don't know, $325. Okay, so I got it under $700 because I just know that there's a sensitivity to a price point. But it also tells me, look, Sabrina, you're in the red. You're only making 26% on this ticket, on this particular part, forgive me. So it's a guideline, guys. This is just a guideline. But as service writers, you guys know as well as I do, it is an art. There are just, it's a finesse to be able to, get this fine-tuned to what you think you can get away with. Maybe I can get away with $350. And that gives me a 31% profit margin. And my bill is still right under $700. You see that? So it's A couple of things. Online ordering creates a parts order or parts records on the fly. I already have a parts price matrix set up to kind of get me in the ballpark. I already have, you know, a red light or a green light to tell me if I'm hitting my profitability. And check out my profit monitor for the whole RO. I'm at 43% profit on this RO. And why is it red? Well, my target's 50%. So, you know, I may not be hitting that, but you can see how it lets you make service writing judgment calls on profitability at the time you're writing the estimate, instead of, you know, at the end of the month or the end of the day if you actually go back and review these things, okay? So this is one of my favorite features in the system. So let's preview this to see what this looks like. I want to take one thing off of here really quick. Oh, it's not on there. Okay. Oh, it's saying my mileage is wrong. Let me fix this really quick. Let's see, 197. It said my mileage that I put in was not enough. Okay, so now I click Preview Repair Order. What your customer is going to see. Okay, so this control panel. Got your name up here, got my disclaimer. This is what they sign when they pick up or when they drop off the vehicle. All their contact information. Okay, this is why I love this structure so much. So the vehicle needs the front wheels aligned, and I could say, yeah, we aligned it. And look at all this description. And here's my discount. I actually gave them a 10% discount. And then the customer said that the vehicle won't start, dies, all that kind of thing. So we inspected it, found that, you know, it needs a new fuel pump. And then under this, here's my diagnostic time, right, $47.50. Under this, I have my labor to R&R the fuel pump. Here it is, and here is my part that I use. Okay, you guys see the flow? Now note, see the note? It says wash car. That's why you don't want to free-form a reason for service, because the lead-in just says notes. Okay? And then I still have my recommended repairs and services from before. Still needs a starter. I even have a dollar amount there. Still needs the belt replaced, and it says it needs an air filter, but I don't have a cost. This is optional, guys, whether or not you want amounts under your recommended services. I personally think I would rather have recommended services with total so people can budget. It's just my style of service writing.
Do those amounts come from like a quote that you do online, or is that just something you're putting in?
Oh, this is an actual amount. So check this out. I'm going to go into, because I might have a little more time to go into some of these details. I think I'll do this. There are two styles of service writing that you can use in MaxxTraxx that I'm familiar with. You can, let's say I just brought this car in for the very first time. Any car that is 5 years old or older, I guarantee our technicians can find $3,000 worth of work. It's just there. You just got to look for it, right? So what our style was in our shop of writing service is we would put a laundry list in here. It needs an alignment. You know, it needs a cooling system flush. It needs a tranny flush. It needs maybe it needs some front end work. Maybe you need to replace a headlight. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So my style was in the body of the RO, I would put in all this stuff. And if they decided that they didn't want to do something, let's just do something for fun. Let's do transmission flush, or tranny service. And of course, I've got kits for all my flushes. I wish it had a progressive. It doesn't. There we go. Well, just for fun. I know this isn't exact, guys. You've got to work with me. Let's say it needed a tranny flush. Let's say, I wonder if I have a power steering in here. Power steering. I don't have one. I'm going to add a reason for service real quick. That's all I have to do. Customer request power steering flush. Okay, and I have to give a category as a maintenance. Again, these are the reasons for service that you guys just create on the fly. And I just created it so easy. And now I'm going to go in and find a kit for my power steering flush. I'm pretty sure I have one. Gosh, I don't. Let's create one. So what would I do? I would go right back to my power steering flush, click on my labors. I'm pretty sure I have a power steering flush in here. I don't. Let's do it real quick. So you guys can see it's pretty fast stuff. PSF. Steering. Okay, and I would probably say something like perform power steering flush with, I don't know, new PS, I don't know, fluid and conditioner, maybe something like that. And I don't know, 0.8. Does it sound right, guys? Yep. Something along those lines. And shop rate. So I just created my brand new labor, and I'm going to select it. And I'm going to move this, guys. Add some fluid. So I go here. I want to add some fluid. Power steering. I'm going to search by description. I just changed my search parameter. See if I have power steering fluid. I don't. Let's add it really quick. I thought I had some power steering stuff in here. I may not know what the part number is, so I may just give it a generic part number. Power steering fluid. I don't use this. On the recommendation here, guys, I don't click the is a fluid box whenever I put parts in my system. The reason is, it separates it out on the RO in its own category. It separates it out on my sales tax report in its own category. I don't like that. This really, I think, was more for the chains, like the Quick Lube, Jiffy Lube chains, and I just don't use it, so it's a little recommendation. And notice, if I'm adding a part through the Add a Part wizard for the first time, I only have to put in the red stars. Part number, part description, hit next. Condition is new, it's a default to new. Product code defaults to general inventory. And again, guys, if you want to section out your inventory, you can. Just an example, tires. I actually have tires going to its own inventory asset account, its own income account, and its own cost of goods account. So I can track my profitability through using product codes for my tires separate from everything else. But of course, this is power steering fluid is general inventory. If I want to stock, this is important for you guys because you're MotorTraxx users. We don't say yes or no anymore for non-stock parts, for stocked or non-stock parts. If you just put in a quantity, like, you know, I really always want to have 12 pints on hand, and when I get down to 2 pints, I want it to reorder. This makes it a stocking part. It will show up on your reorder report. Just a side note. And I don't know, how much is power steering fluid, guys? Ballpark?
Cost $1.50. $1.50.
Okay. So let's say it's $1.50, and either I can use my matrix down here, which of course will default my sales price to $4.29. You know, maybe I want to go with jobber instead. $3.75. That's good. That's good. Or if, you know, if I wasn't sure, maybe $3.75 is too much. Maybe I need to sell it for $3. I can actually take off my matrix and say, you know, list price is $3. And if I put $3 in the sales price field and I do not have a matrix applied, no matter how much this power steering fluid costs me ever, if it costs me $2.50, my selling price is always going to be $3 unless I set this selling price based on profit margin. Watch the red arrow, guys. I know I'm throwing a lot at you today, okay? I put 50%, which is still going to put me at $3 as my selling price. But see if my arrow is under profit margin and my cost goes up, let's say $1.75. Check out my selling price. It will increase my selling price if my costs go up. But if we want to say, you know what, I don't care if my costs go up. I need to stay competitive no matter what. I need to always sell my power steering fluid for $3 a pint. There it is. Got it? Okay, and if I have a core, I would click on this box. We can't just select reman and have the core feature turned on. We actually have to click it on. And the reason for that, guys, is there's a lot of new parts that now have core charges, you know, like AirTex fuel pumps, for example. Just because they're trying to build up the core inventory even though it's a new part. Okay, so I'm going to leave this off because it's power steering fluid, obviously. You know, I am going to stop and mention one other thing. If you guys do say track cores, people all the time put in an amount here. This should say quantity of dirty, old, used, greasy cores in stock, because you only put a quantity in here if you have dirty, old, yucky, greasy, used cores that need to go back to the vendor for credit, or if you're a rebuilder. So if you do end up doing cores, make sure you don't put something in here unless they are really used. It's a little boo-boo. It's the number one boo-boo I see when people add inventory for the first time. And I'm going to click Finish. So quite a kind of a detour guys here. Sorry about that, but I thought I may as well cover that for you so you can review this later on. Now here is one more section I want to review in detail. We talked about the labor sales detail information, right, where we had the labor code and labor description. This is the part information, okay? And again, most of the time you just click OK. But let's look at this screen for a minute. We can click to use matrix or not. Again, we don't have the matrix turned on because we just always want to sell this part for $3. I can add a discount. If it were a warranty, I could click in the apply warranty discount, and it discounts out, you know, if it's prorated for tires or batteries, or 100% if it's a warranty part. And what's kind of cool about this is it tracks in our expenses warranty discounts separately from regular sales discounts. So you guys can identify if you have a problem. All of a sudden you got $3,000 in warranty in 1 month. You might need to go have a chat with somebody out back, right? So that's kind of handy. The other thing is, you know, maybe not power steering fluid, but for my oil, I charge 20 cents per quart of oil for my hazardous materials disposal fee. You can set this up in the part record itself, or only charge it when you actually put the part on the RO. I suggest putting it in the part record so it's automated. So anytime you ever select that part, it will automatically put in that add-on charge for hazardous materials fee. Same for tire disposals. A lot of people have tire disposal fee. And you could also have a third one if you have a tire tax. So if you guys have questions about that, that's where you would join us on Tuesdays or Thursdays for an open forum webinar, and we can answer specific questions. But again, check out my profit monitor here in the lower left. Stock on hand, by the way, 0. Let's click OK. So that was a lot of stuff, guys. I went kind of a roundabout way of doing that, but you can see I created a reason for service, created a new labor, created a new part record, and what would I do with this? I always would right-click, make a kit from this reason for service, and I do this all the time. I'm a kit junkie. It speeds up your service writing like you would not believe. So I just say it's a generic kit because it's a generic power steering flush. I have to get a bit of category and maintenance. And ta-da, I'm done. That's all I have to do. So I can go back and all this is all preloaded for me. So as I was saying, guys, you could go through and put up a whole laundry list. Now, this person may not have come in expecting to spend $1,000. So my style of service writing was to say, you know what, I'm going to tell this person, you don't have to do all this work now. I'm going to delete this. Remember, I could hit the delete button here in the lower left, or I could right-click and delete it. Or frankly, I'm just going to hit the delete key on my keyboard, and it says here, are you sure you want to delete the record? I'm going to say yes. And it says, do you want to recommend it? And I say yes. So Jody, that's to answer your question. I have all the components, the actual part numbers, you know, if it had a filter, or shoot, I use kits like crazy on timing belt jobs because we do tons of timing belt jobs on imports, and you know, mostly European at the shop I used to work at. So hey, if I'm going to do all that work to look up all the parts, you know, all the seals, the water pump, the timing belt kit, any pulleys, and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to save that as a kit. So if I ever see that year, make, and model again, all my work's done. Very cool. So the same thing. I could say, you know, they don't want to do the tranny flush right now either. Something I want to show you, though. If I highlight a part and hit the delete key, lower right, it'll say, are you sure you want to delete the highlighted record? It's not going to tell me, do you want to recommend it? Okay, let's look at this. If I highlight the labor and hit the delete key, see this big red X? It's saying, hey, Sabrina, you're about to permanently delete the following labor and any parts that are under it. You want to do this? Actually, no, I didn't mean to do that. So again, to get it to move to recommended services, you highlight the reason for service line and then hit delete. And it says, are you sure you want to delete it? Yes. And then it asks you, do you want to recommend it? Yes. So what does it do? Throws all that stuff under recommended. So if we were to preview this again, hit preview repair order. Check out my recommended down here. I got all sorts of stuff that this car needs. See? That's what this is in here. Let's just
can you also free-form under the recommended?
Absolutely, and that's how this air filter, where it says the air filter needs replacement, it has no dollar amount to the right of it. You see that?
Yeah.
That's because it's exactly what we did. We can go over to recommended. We could add a recommendation from the list, which is just going to throw on, I don't know, AC service. Okay? So you see AC service doesn't have a dollar amount. Or I can add a free-form recommendation, yes.
What would you do if you wanted to give a customer 3 choices on tires? Would you just free-form it in there, or would you create type of quotes?
My personal recommendation for that, Randy, what I would do is I would actually put it in here. I would say reason for service is request. Hit T for tires. Let's replace all 4. This is what I would do. I would put a reason for service for my tires. I would add my labor. I thought I had, let me look and see if I have a kit. I have a tire kit. I don't, but I think I used to have that. I would add a labor, tires for mountain balance. Actually, here we go. Replace 4 tires. I should actually have some amount in here, but I don't. I probably would do it for like 0.8 or I don't know, something like that. I'm just putting something on here. That's actually pretty expensive. See, I had actually changed maybe my shop labor rate here, even though it affects my profit monitor here in the lower left. You see that, guys? If I lower my shop rate, but it's still going to take me 0.8 of an hour to do, because I want to give my technician 0.8 of an hour to dismount, mount, and balance 4 new tires. You see, my profitability isn't there, but you guys know, oil changes and tires, you just don't make that much money on. So then I would put in my reason for service, my tires. In fact, you know, I'm going to make a kit really quick. I'm going to call this, yeah, that's all I want here. Oh, you know what? And it's barking at me. I need a category. Actually, I'll make it tire. And I might actually want to throw my stems in there as well, just a thought. But then what I would do, Randy, is I would go in and put on some tires. Let's see what we got here. Let's hit P. You know, just for fun. I don't know. I would probably put in 4 tires.
So we have a local tire vendor with a online order. You'd be able to program them in so we could use them?
We are working on the ATD, American Tire Distributors, online ordering interface. I do not expect it anytime soon. I'd be lying to you if I said so. But we are working on that, so you will be able to go to your tire warehouses that use an ATD interface. And you could do the exact same thing that we did with Worldpac, bring it over. But I would do this, and I would actually do this 4 times. I mean, I would. If it were me, I would just do tires. Let's see how long it actually takes. All 4. Yeah, I know it's a duplicate. And actually, I could have done that by hitting kits, but that's okay. Go down to my kits, tires, select. And then I'd go and find out what the other tires are. Description. Again, just work with me, guys, because, you know, this is just fake data. Well, most of it is.
Besides finding parts on online lookup, you can also look at your in-store inventory?
No. You can't look at, well, yeah, I guess you can. I guess you can. Okay, let's try that. Actually, just for fun. Add parts. Let's go out to Napa, for example. Let's see if I got Napa. I don't know, I'm just going to put oil filter. Every online parts ordering interface is going to be a little bit different, just so you guys know. So if I click on oil filter, once you look up the actual part, let's check it out. Now it doesn't actually tell me inventory with Napa. Let me hit, I don't know if this view details, I don't know guys.
No, I mean from our own inventory. Say I had the tires in stock already.
Oh, you bet. Yeah. Okay, absolutely. Sorry, I misunderstood, Randy. If it doesn't have a red circle and slash on it, it's in stock. So check this out. I go to add parts, part list, and I look up here. You can see my quantity on hand. I have 2 of these on hand. So you have 0, none of these.
Okay, you did a part search to get to this screen?
Yes, I did. I did. So let me go slow. I still remember I need to still highlight a labor in order to activate my add parts. Now I could go outside. I don't have to be in an RO, but shoot, I may as well look at it while I'm in the RO, right?
Yeah.
Add part, go to my part list, and I can search my part number.
Now I got you.
Size is pretty valuable if you guys are doing, see, the look up column by size. This is what I do by if I'm looking up tires. And it'll say, you know, if I only have 2 in stock of these. But what you can do by, this is how I put quotes together. Now, the problem is it's not going to give you details in the recommended services. So if I delete this, and I delete this one, I'll hit the button instead. The end of my recommended, it's going to say all the tires need replacement, and here this one, tires need replacement. I don't have detail. But what we do have is a feature. Unfortunately, it's not tied into the repair orders right now, but we do have a feature to do a tire quote. And we can put in the size that we're looking for. Whoops. 225. Sorry, guys. And then, oops. Guys, tell them I'm typing wizard. Let's see if it'll come up. So I can say I want to choose this one, and I can select it, and I want to do a quantity of 4. See, it just put it here at the bottom. And then let's say I want to do this one too, and I want to add a quantity of 4. So you see I'm giving my customer a bunch of different options. And then if I print this tire quote list, I wonder if it'll give me a preview. But can you guys see down here at the bottom on the right? Mm-hmm. See that grand totals with extras? That's your out-the-door price, because it even throws sales tax on there and everything. So you can print this tire quote for your customer. This is what it's going to look like. But, you know, I'll be honest, what's a bummer about this is it doesn't tie right into the RO. So when they do pick this, pick a tire, they're like, oh, you know what? I'll take the Michelin Harmonies. You still got to re-enter the part numbers and the labor onto your repair orders.
Can you save a tire quote with a customer name?
Which I think is a real bummer. So I'll be honest, do I use it very much? No. You just print it out and give it to the customer. Now, you could do this. I'm going to hit this print. I actually have the ability to, if I hit print here, it'll give me my print option. I can save it to a PDF and save it to my desktop. And I could call this Randy's tire quote and just save it to my desktop. So like in, you know, a week or whatever, if you guys decide to come back, I'm just going to close this out and know it does not.
I'll just print 2 copies and save one.
Save one, yeah. Or like I said, I just put it on my desktop. So now I have this, I do have this quote that I can print. I can look up at a later time. And I did have a spot where I could put a note on it so I could know, I'd know it was yours. Yeah, but that's not, see, I don't use it, I'll be honest. I never really used the tire quote feature because it wasn't tied in. I actually did it in the body of the RO.
Gotcha.
Make sense? Okay, guys. Well, I want to go ahead and wrap up for today. I know I threw a ton at you. We went into the details of the labor service, the details of the parts, which we talk about part extensively next Monday, so don't worry about that. On Friday, we're going to go into all of these views here on the left, the links, what we call links. Anything with the blue underlined is link. And we're going to go under the options. So we'll talk more about the online parts ordering as well on Friday, but we go really into the depth of that on Monday because that's all about parts inventory tracking. And we call it parts inventory. It's a bit of a misnomer because we don't inventory anything anymore, not in this millennium. But don't forget, MaxxTraxx needs to have that part in stock before you sell it in order to keep all the financials correct. That's why we put that little red circle and slash through it to remind you. Use that online ordering thing. Okay, guys, so any final questions before we wrap up today?
What if you want to have a customer prepay for a part?
You go into yes, you can. Now, we don't do a deposit on account on the actual RO. We go into the customer, and check this out. We can access the customer record or the vehicle record right from this screen. Let's say we need a VIN number, right? You can click on customer right here. It goes to their customer record, tells them how much they owe you and all that kind of stuff. But under customer options, you click deposit on account.
Okay, so you can collect it, but you can't create an invoice for a part that's not here.
You actually, no.
And have them prepay it.
You can ahead of time, but you still, when they prepay it, they're really just putting a deposit on their customer record, and that parts invoice or that repair order would still be open.
All right.
Okay, so that's the way I would do it. I probably would put MaxxTraxx or whatever, and maybe this is 4 tires, whatever. And it automatically, you can print a receipt for them if you want. I'll say don't print. And it now puts that $300 credit available on their account. Do you guys see that here on the right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Great question. Okay, guys. Between now and Friday, if you're playing around with the system, and I'll call you after this call, Randy, after I wrap up the recording. Write down your questions because these webinars are for you. I know I did a lot of talking today, but the point is it's really for you to ask questions and see, how do we get MaxxTraxx to match the workflow of your business? And oftentimes there's tons of ways to do it. You just need to ask. And don't get frustrated. That's what your tech support's here for. This month, next month, in 2 years, whatever. You have a lot of folks come back to these webinars 3 to 6 months later and learn more features because, as you can see, I just threw a ton at you. Don't expect you to remember it all. So we just kind of work through it together. Okay, guys, I appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to talking to you on Friday in the More Repair Order Writing webinar. Okay?
Thank you.